Everyone is trying to make more money in 2021, especially if you're trying to take your life into your own hands and maybe quit that job you hate and go full-time into your creative side hustle. In this video, I'm going to break down the top 5 money goals that you should achieve in 2021 in order to stop worrying about money and start living the life that you want. For more art and entrepreneurship type videos, make sure to like the video, jingle all my bells and buttons for new videos every Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. I'm Janet, the ex-Disney artist turned independent creator. At the beginning of 2021, I quit my corporate job at Disney and went full-time into my online art business. The reason I had the freedom and ability to do this is because of these money goals that I was able to work towards and achieve. Some of these goals I'm still working towards. As a disclaimer, I am not a financial advisor. This is just advice and things that I did to improve my own life. Let's get started. A lot of millennials believe that paying off student debt is impossible, and that's why they don't do the math and bother trying. I'm not perfect, I believe this too, until I stumbled across financial expert Dave Ramsey. Using simple math, I'm talking addition, subtraction, multiplication. This isn't rocket science here. He showed it is possible to pay off your student debt. You have to save all your money and throw all of it at your student debt. Depending on how much your student debt is, you can pay off your student debt in less than 5 years. For some people, it's less than 2 years, and you honestly don't have to be making a lot of money. You just have to be living cheaply. When I heard this, my entire mindset shifted. I realized I didn't want to be handcuffed to my student loan debt for the next decade. So I lived on absolutely nothing. I didn't buy anything for myself for the longest time. I threw every single paycheck at my student debt and I paid it off. I know it's easier said than done, but if I can do it, I believe anyone else can do it as well. And once you've accomplished that goal, you'll start to realize anything is possible. The phrase "I can't" is no longer in your vocabulary. The second money goal is to save a 6-month emergency fund. Once I paid off my student loan debt, I still didn't really feel all that secure. A lot of people don't know this, but working in Hollywood is definitely not a stable career. Just because I worked for big companies like DreamWorks or Disney didn't mean anything. The reality was, for an artist like me, there will be times when I might be unemployed out of no fault of my own. In fact, I knew that no job or career is 100% stable. So I was living in constant fear. Fear of losing my job, fear of what if my production suddenly gets canceled, or what if my production ends and it's hard to find my next job. I felt trapped, especially when I was still under a whole lot of student debt. It doesn't matter how much money you are making if it feels like you are living paycheck to paycheck. For example, what if I hated my job for whatever reason? What if I had a really bad boss? Or what if I was working under questionable working conditions? I really didn't like the idea that I'd have to put up with whatever bad situation I was in just because I needed the money. So after I paid off all my debt, I saved up a 6-month emergency fund. For those who don't know, an emergency fund is basically the bare minimum you need every single month to make ends meet. It's basically your living expenses. It's your rent, your bills, your food, your gas, everything that you need to survive for a month. Your goal is to keep it consistent from month to month, let's say $1,000, $2,000, and you multiply that by 6 months. Once I had that money saved up, I felt a lot more secure. I no longer had debt weighing me down, and I knew that if I was out of a job for whatever reason, I'd be good for 6 months. And if I didn't want to take a job that I didn't want, or if I wanted to get myself out of a bad situation, I could leave my job if I wanted to. Number 3 is to start a side hustle to cover your living expenses. Once I saved up my 6-month emergency fund, I realized a really important lesson. I didn't want to be completely reliant on an employer or a company for my livelihood. Especially in Hollywood, they can let me go at any time for any reason. I didn't like being so reliant on someone else for a job. So I realized I needed to diversify my income. I needed to create my own job that I couldn't get let go from. So I started my art business in the time I had after work and on the weekends. I built up my presence online. I posted on Instagram and I started selling my work at conventions. It was slow at first. I mean, really slow, but it was definitely growing. The more I worked at it, the more money I was making and the more confident I became. I was becoming more and more independent. It got to a point where I wasn't controlled by fear anymore. I realized that I no longer needed someone to maybe give me a job. Knowing that I can lose my job and still be okay, still be making money because of my own willpower is one of the most empowering things I can impart. Before I move on to the next goals, comment down below what your 2021 money goals are. The fourth goal is to work on getting a good credit score. Whether we like it or not, for most people, it's really important to have a good credit score. It gets you better deals on homes, cars, and so much more. This is something that my parents taught me and I had been working at since I was a teenager. I would use a credit card like a debit card and only spend money I knew I had. I would then pay it off immediately, increasing my credit score. One of the extra benefits to doing this is you get credit card points. I'd use the points that I earned as cash back or for when I would travel for conventions for business. Not only was I building up my credit score, I was saving a lot of money using credit cards. I know Dave Ramsey does not recommend using credit cards, especially if you are already bad with your money. You probably really shouldn't be using credit cards. But if you're really good and responsible with your money, you are not overspending, you pay off your bills every single month, it is a great way to build up your credit score and to basically get discounts on everything. The fifth goal is to save for a down payment on a house. Another common myth that a lot of millennials believe is that you will never be able to afford a house. That is far from the truth. I believed this myself until a coworker proved me wrong. Also, once you've paid off all your debt and saved up your 6-month emergency fund, you realize anything is possible, including saving for a house. One of the reasons a lot of millennials believe this myth is they don't really bother to do the research. If you learn the process of buying a house, you realize you only really have to pay 10 to 20% of the asking price of the house. That is a whole lot more doable than thinking you have to pay the full price of the house right away. One of the biggest reasons why it really benefits you to do this is because of house hacking. House hacking is when you rent out a portion of your home while live in another part of it. If you do this right, you can use your rental income to cover your living expenses. Imagine having your living expenses completely covered because you had the discipline to pay off all your debt and save up to afford a home. What would you do with your time if you no longer had to work a 9-to-5 just to make ends meet? Bonus goal is to start investing. Everyone should start learning how to invest their money. Instead of saving all of it and just having it sit there, not really doing anything, which was one of my first mistakes, you should invest it and make it work for you. Invest it so that once you are financially independent, you're also not worried about retirement because we all grow old. There will come a time when we won't be able to work anymore, whether it's sooner or later. Work towards making it possible for your investments to allow you to afford the things that you want, instead of using your income and then having to work for more money in order to buy things. For example, if you want a new car, a new pair of shoes, makeup, whatever it is that you want, the new PS5, let's say, if you have a lot invested and it is making a certain amount of money every month, you can use the money generated by your investments and not the money itself to buy the things that you want. That way you are never going below a certain amount of money. You will always have money in the bank. You will never have to worry about supporting yourself. You can then indulge yourself in things that you want and don't necessarily need. My goal is to have enough invested so I can live my life to the fullest sooner rather than later. I don't want to have to wait till I'm 65 to finally start living my life. If you want to learn more about how to use social media to grow your online business, check out my free guide, 8 Steps to Launch Your Online Store. Check out honeyandabsinthe.com to pick up some merch and art. I am currently wearing the Hustle shirt today. Check out these other videos to learn more about how to use YouTube for your online business. If you like the video, jingle all my bells and buttons for more art and entrepreneurship type videos, and don't forget to dare to dream.